All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, guys, we are here. How's things? How's everyone going? We are back in the Brown Excellence. We've got the bad boy Vivek, bad boy Kamal here. First of all, Kamal, how you doing?
Well, good, mate. Thanks for having me on, as always. I'm happy to. We missed last week, so I'm happy to get back into it.
No, 100%. Last week was heavy, boys. Obviously, with the game, I'm pretty sure I did a live stream, and then I did the review. I was just tired, man. And then knowing that we'd have to go again in a few hours, I was like, please, no more. And then Thursdays are massive because I had another thing scheduled, and then Matisse's show down the track. I was like, man, all I'd be doing is just podcasting throughout the day. That would have been too much for me. And there is a small factor of work as well. You got to work. Vivek, how you doing, my man?
Hey man, all good, going great, and a little busy with work, just like you, miss. No, it's all going good.
Nah, perfect. Thank you to everyone that's joined in and that will be joined throughout the session. Soccer Turtle, thank you, my man. You've been waiting very patiently. I hope you have a good show here with us. Boys, let's get straight into this. This is an interesting topic for us to talk about. The reason I got this out is I want to have a very open conversation because I think all of us have a little bit of a different opinion. I've seen how you guys have sort of commented on these matters in the timeline in Twitter. But I just thought that it would be good to talk as a topic because I've now started to see a lot of I get a bit worried when bigger sort of accounts with a lot more influence starts throwing these sort of things around, and then you start thinking, well, is it always a good influence? Do you know what I mean? Like what they're saying, is it always a good influence? So basically what I want to talk about is all about the fringe players, right? All of these fringe players, as you guys already know, during Frank Lampard time, a lot of them weren't getting that much minutes, weren't getting any look into. Some were even banished from the team and did not even see any more minutes. Some didn't get spoken to. Now, I guess with the new manager in, a lot of some parts, I wouldn't say a lot, some parts of the fan base still have that sort of residual value of Frank Lampard still lingering around, like the way Frank ran his show, or but Alonso doesn't start, or but Rudiger doesn't start, or but Jorginho doesn't. Like they have this sort of preset that Frank never did that. Why is Tuchel doing that? Like, I'm not comfortable with that anymore. Now we are starting to see certain fans coming out and say, "Oh, but these guys are, they're troublemakers in the team. Why are they getting, a clean slate again?" I've seen recently, boys, Alonso, who, look, we all know he's not the greatest player. We know that. No one is going out there actively doing propaganda on Alonso. But what we do know is when given a particular role, which is the left wing back role, in a particular match, he sometimes comes up trumps. Now, in a match like Burnley, where sure we were winning, but his goal put the exclamation mark on the performance that, helped us completely get the win. Yeah? Because it was a bit dicey at 1-0, thinking perhaps Burnley could come back. His goal made sure that, no issues. Off the back of that, it is only natural that the fan base is going to be upbeat about someone like Alonso. That, thank you, man, for scoring that goal. Thank you for the finish, because we've seen Alonso do that kind of finish. A lot of few parts of the fan base have come out and don't like that propaganda and don't like that sort of, talk about Alonso. And instead, they're going against it by saying, you know what, look, yeah, fair enough, Tuchel's giving him a chance. It's clean slate, but I don't want to see this player play for us. I don't want to see him play. I'll go to you, Kamal, first up. Is this fair? Is this outlook fair? I mean, I get it. Maybe he had some sort of issues with Frank Lampard. Maybe he was one of those people that probably didn't want him around. Do we need to hold that so dearly to us now that Tuchel is here, and now that he's possibly going to give almost everyone an opportunity, depending on how the opposition plays, is this fair on a player like Alonso? And then promoting that, I don't want this player to play.
It's tough because I was fully Frank Lampard in, as you know. And it's tough because you like Alonso specifically. It kind of came out with that whole West Brom bus incident where he kind of supposedly disrespected the team. You know, nobody knows the full truth what went on besides the players and Frank Lampard, right? But yeah, I think everyone deserves a fresh start when the new manager comes in. Everyone has to perform, and let's not kid ourselves. If Alonso scores a hat trick tomorrow, everyone's gonna say let's get a statue outside of the ground for him because he's scoring against Tottenham. So he's got that kind of cult hero thing about him. Match going fans actually like Alonso because he's scored.
They do. Yeah,
because Marcos Alonso runs down the wing for me and all that kind of stuff. So he scores goals against our rivals. So yeah, I definitely believe that everyone deserves a fresh start when a new manager comes in, because what's the new manager got to do? He can't exactly hold that against him. He wasn't there. He's got nothing. He's got no preconceived notion about this guy besides potential rumors. Like, oh, maybe Alonso did this, maybe Alonso did that, maybe Rudiger did this, maybe Rudiger did that. But as far as he knows, there's nothing happened under him. So if the manager's going to give him a fresh slate, why can't we? So I know, we all think, well, I say we all, fans have their opinions about what said player has done. Yeah. But again, if, like I just said, if they all perform, you can't really hold it against them. So, and Alonso's performed. Let's see if it can keep it going.
Exactly, man. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, and I'll go to you, Vivek, now. I've hesitated to comment about Alonso in recent days, thinking people are going to give me a bit of a weird look. And I feel like saying, why? Why can't I write something nice about this guy? I know he's not the best player. I get that. But he's done a job for us against Burnley, helped us get that 3 point. Why can't I say thank you, Mr. Alonso? Why can't I do that? Besides, without getting the backlash from certain parts of the fan base and whatnot. And why can't I say that, you know what, if Tuchel does use him against Spurs, kudos to you, Tuchel. You know the team better than me. I don't know. I don't know what your game plan is. So far, what you've been doing against Wolves and what you did against Burnley, it shows that there's an incremental increase in performance. I can only back what the manager is doing. Like, is that your chain of thought as well? Because I've seen you recently write about Jorginho, who we'll get to as well. There's a lot of people having a lot of, issues saying, oh, but I don't want to see these players play. Why this need? I don't understand.
Yeah, Miss. Following your train of thought, yeah, I did tweet out, before the game saying that I was not sure about Alonso because for two reasons. One, we haven't seen him play since October, and two, I was a little skeptical because, I thought, okay, fine, maybe Emerson would get a start, but going by Tuchel's press conference, he said that okay, Alonso's aerial presence will be a big factor against Burnley, and I was wondering, okay, fine, Chilwell is also pretty good in the air, so I was wondering, okay, why not Chilwell and why Alonso? And once he started playing the games, the first half, he played very well. And in the second half, he was an entirely different player. He should have had two that day, like we were talking about yesterday. Both of us, we were talking about it yesterday. He should have had two if he decided to put that header on goal. I do not understand why there is a selective hate. I'd use the word miss. It's a harsh word, but I'll say it.
It is hate. It is hate. It's hate. That's what it is.
It's definitely hate. And Miss, you or Kamal, we have no clue what goes on behind the dressing room. Nobody does. We do not know what happened at the bus at West Brom. Okay, fine. He fell out with Frank Lampard. That era is done and dusted, mate. And this is me saying this because, as you guys know, I was hardcore Lampard in, and I've been watching Frank Lampard since his beginning, and he's my icon, my idol. It hurts to say this, but there is no point bringing Frank Lampard into this conversation about players who fell out with him. That's over. That's finished. It's time, some of these players who maybe even I overlooked, where I have to take the responsibility as well, where I overlooked. And if these guys come out and perform well, yeah, I'm going to applaud for them. Absolutely. And I did say post the game that Alonso proved everybody, including me, wrong because I doubted the selection. And I, after the game, went ahead and told myself, okay, fine, I'm not going to, waste my time, doing predicted lineups anymore because, Tuchel knows what's good. Tuchel knows what's right. That's my opinion on Alonso's selection. And yeah, if he does start the next game, I'll definitely trust Tuchel on that because I know Tuchel knows better than me.
No, absolutely. Kamal, let's take this conversation to another level now. Having some of these fringe players, let's stick with the whole Alonso thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone like Ben Chilwell, who I personally, and even Vivek has mentioned, I know Vivek is a very strong, someone who likes Chilwell a lot. I like him as well. I'm sure, Kamal, you do as well. But in recent times, let's not kid around ourselves that probably over the last 5 to 6 games, probably about for 1.5 months since the start of December till probably now, or just up until January, so about 2 months, he hasn't been the best of the best left backs. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the kind of money we spent, the kind of hype that we had in the beginning, it all sort of became more average type of performances, right? And I get that our team was sort of in a bit of a mud as well. So, it could be all of that. But someone like Alonso has now come in, put on a decent performance. I'm not going to say he was fantastic. He scored a goal. I think Tuchel used him perfectly. Like that's what I'm saying is that Thomas Tuchel knows his strengths and weaknesses with Alonso, and he didn't get him exposed. He made sure there was always Rudiger just behind him defensively. He gave him the instructions, probably just make sure that Alonso doesn't get exposed on that side. So you're always looking after him. He knows that Alonso is not the quickest player in transition, so he's not going to be able to come back that quickly. So he also ensured that Kovacic is somewhere near in that midfield area, hoping that if there is a breakout that he's there along with Rudiger to stop that. He pretty much used Alonso as a left wing forward, someone who stays very wide, edge of the box, because he knows that Alonso has... If Alonso doesn't have anything, he at least has one thing, which is he knows his ways around inside the box. Right. That's one thing we cannot take away from Alonso because time in, time out, he's scored goals for us, clutch goals for us as well. And his technique is good. His technique is very good. So he used him in the sense where stay wide. If an opportunity comes in, bang it in. Try and get that clutch goal that we need. Right? So Thomas Tuchel used him good. The point that I'm trying to get to is that for someone like Ben Chilwell, this is also a good kick up that backside that, maybe it's not that simple anymore. Maybe I'm not an automatic starter, which it felt like under Frank Lampard, that week in, week out, if Chilwell is fit, you're starting, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like there is no competition.
Right.
Do you think from that point of view, maybe that's also good to have some of these fringe players to every now and then just sprinkle them in? And if they give you a good performance, well, that now gives something to think about to the regular starters. So from that point of view is also interesting, isn't it?
100%. And you're absolutely spot on. It's vital that each player that comes in performs. Because if Alonso had a disaster class, Chilwell's probably thinking, all right, I'm going to start next game, got nothing to worry about. But you saw that Tuchel's not worried because half-time against Wolves, Chilwell got yanked and then Pulisic came on. Yeah. And you saw, I think it was just after half-time, but you saw like Chilwell was like, me? Like, really? Like, this is actually, okay. He was so confused. And
you're right. Tuchel was like, me? Like, sure.
Exactly. So, this is absolutely perfect because what we've been talking about this for weeks now. That competition in the squad is absolutely what's needed for all players. Like you look at, I hate comparing, but you look at Man City. John Stones, Diaz, and Laporte, and all three of them have been absolutely phenomenal this season. So competition is perfect. So Chilwell absolutely needs to understand that he needs to get back on it. He needs to start performing because, Alonso as a left wing back is the Ronaldinho of left wing backs. He's like, he's inevitable. He just can't stop. He's too good in that position. But obviously, as a left back itself, he gets exposed. But as a left wing back, I'm all about Alonso. I don't know why. He just, like I said, I think it was Pogba Senior that tweeted out that whoever converted Alonso to the left wing back took us away from the greatest striker of all time or something hysterical like that, because he scores goals. So it's, he's not a left wing back. He's not a left winger. He's a striker in the left back.
I call him a left wing forward. Like
yes, 100%.
He's a forward.
Oh God.
I don't understand if you need a goal, just throw him on at the top because he will win headers. He scores goals. I don't understand it, but
he's got a very good that volley. Man,
he's so good. He's so good.
You know what, boys? Before we even talk about the volley, the way he runs into the space, Pulisic goes wide, drags two defenders with him. Alonso goes from wide and moves beautifully into the space, puts his hand up saying, mate, I'm free. Pulisic dinks in the ball, chests it, and he hits the volley. I mean,
fantastic.
That is not a left wing back. That is
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's Ronaldinho of left wing backs, bro. He's too good.
That in itself, look, and I want to get to Vivek now. Obviously, we don't know what the situation happened during the West Brom game. All we know that there's been reports that there was, at halftime, he got hooked off and he went straight to the bus. And then Frank Lampard lost his marbles on him. But here's an alternative look. All right, Vivek? Here's an alternative perspective. And I know hindsight is a bit of a thing, and we can always look back and see, this could have happened, that. But it's good to sort of sometimes look at things how perhaps we could have handled. Was it always wise for Frank Lampard to shut Alonso off completely like that? Or would it have been better, scream at him, tell him off, tell him exactly how you feel, then the following couple of days later and just go, mate, don't do that. You're a league winner. You've won the league with us in this football club. We look up to you guys as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we won't forget. We can never, ever forget that Conte season where Alonso was revolutionized in that position. And he had a fantastic season. So I'm never going to take that away from him. Do you know what I mean? Like, that team was fantastic. And it had a lot to do with his left wing back situation. Would it have been wise, perhaps, Vivek, from your perspective, that Frank maybe it wasn't good to just completely shut them off?
Miss, I think I can see the rationale where you're coming from. It does seem wise, for maybe, it absolutely, Miss. Frank had every right to be pissed off at Alonso after what he had done at the bus, or what the rumored incident was. But the fact that, like you said, he completely banished him from the team, again meant that you had one happy face over there, Miss, another unhappy face over there, on top of two or three others. And all these people, I was listening, to Henry Winter on Alex's podcast. And I think I was listening to a couple of others on Alex's podcast. And they made a very interesting point. One of the guests made a very interesting point where they said there were unhappy players for sure. I think this was Matt Law's. Miss. There were a lot of unhappy players for sure, but nobody bothered. Their voices were not heard during that 17-run unbeaten that streak which we had. But once we started losing, their voices were the loudest. And since these guys were all banished, during that winning run, it meant that they did not bother supporting the team. You can say they did not want to, get behind the team when we were losing. That's, that's where the problem comes, Miss. Maybe if all three of us would have agreed, like on the spot, like on the West Ham game, say if we're having this conversation, all three of us definitely would have agreed by saying, okay, Frank was definitely right in, banishing Alonso from the team. But 4 or 5 months down the lane, once we, start to see things more clearly, and once we start to think a little bit, that's when we see a little bit more reality. And this is where you talk about hindsight, where, looking back at, how things may be or how things could have gone if he had handled it better. Would there have been one less unhappy player in the dressing room? Absolutely. Would there have been more hands and more support during a losing streak? Absolutely.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
like any other job, miss. Yeah, it's just like any other job, miss. Football, I can absolutely relate football to a workplace situation where you have a couple of unhappy employees. They're obviously going to talk about behind your back. And especially when things are not going that great, they're going to be even more louder. So
Yeah.
a good manager or a good leader will always want to keep the people the people who do not like him more closer than the people who actually like him. So that's management 101 is about keeping
Yeah.
people who don't like you closer than the ones
There's-
who actually like you.
There's
Yeah.
a really good comment here, which is resonating your comment here from Michael. Michael, by the way, fantastic comments, my man. There can be unhappy players, but you can still make them feel part of the team and not so left out. It's like the first rule of management. That's exactly what Vivek was saying. Go on,
I
Vivek.
agree with I agree with Michael there too, Ms. And this was one of the few things my father taught me in management too. So if you have unhappy people, you're going to sideline them. Absolutely, they're going to they're going to create problems. There are two things you can do in this situation. Is one is you can either weed them out entirely, like meaning move them out of the organization, or keep them in keep them in the organization and make sure, okay, fine, you're part of the team, but it's like what we can say is it's like sort of like touch and go, where they know they are part of the team, but they still don't like the manager, but yeah, they're doing some work over there. So this particular incident is very similar to this, miss. Me and you, we both know that we cannot move out Alonso, a player who's on triple figure wages, just like that in January. So that rules it out. So I think the next best solution was maybe make Alonso feel part of the team, start him in the FA Cup game, or give him time to practice. And I believe that Alonso did not even, start in the games with the first 11 and the second 11 miss. So this was another report which Matt Law said he was entirely sidelined from the team. So
I heard
you can
that
see where the problem
Frank
is.
didn't speak to him for almost 3 months. This was some inside source that I got. Frank didn't speak to him for 3 months off the back of that performance against West Brom. Did not speak. Like, he would be in the training, no conversation, no nothing. So you can imagine how this player would feel in a group. And he would have a negative impact. He would go to his teammate and say, what kind of a gaffer is this guy? Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as we can look at it and say, well, why did he do that? Do you know what I mean? Why is Alonso going around creating such a havoc? But you created that situation for him to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could have, as a manager, and this is why I say, experience is so important. And I feel like an experienced manager either would have absolutely gone up to Alonso and said, you're no longer part of my game plan anymore because you've disrespected the team. So see you later, find yourself another. Or just say, look, what you did was wrong. And you really now need to impress me very much to come get back into the team. So I feel like Frank did neither. He just screamed at him and then just said, whatever, like, you do what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Moving away from the Alonso situation, because we don't want to make this whole thing about Alonso, I want to now talk about Jorginho and Kovacic, the double sixes. And this has also been getting a bit of heat in recent times. Now, look, Jorginho and Kovacic under Frank Lampard, the style of lone DM and attacking eights, it was never going to work for these two players. That style of football is never going to work for them because they're not that tough. Jorginho is not a lone DM. Kovacic is not an attacking eight, and he's not a lone DM either. So that type of style was never going to work for them. My issue is, Kamal, and I'll go to you first, is that a lot of people are just branding these players as rubbish. Just because you can't fit the lone DM and attacking eights, you're rubbish, right?
Yep.
This is what Vivek also, he tweeted yesterday, that in the last couple of games for Thomas Tuchel, Jorginho's looked half okay. Like, he's looked all right. He's not exposed. Mind you, we did play Wolves, who sat back. Burnley, not the greatest, but Burnley were in a bit of a form. They've beaten Liverpool. They've beaten Aston Villa.
Right.
Wolves are no mug. They've beaten us as well. But once again, I go back to the point that Thomas Tuchel knew exactly how to play Jorginho. He did not expose his weaknesses. He kept Kovacic next to him in a double six. He kept the defense close to him. He gave Jorginho clear instructions that all you're going to do is support the centre backs when they build up from the back, and it's first time passes. either towards the wings or you look up through the middle. He created 4 key chances against Burnley. Not many people want to talk about that because it's Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? It's not cool to talk about that.
No.
Now, the question that I want to ask you is, once again, is that whole image of Frank Lampard having the lone DM and attacking aids, and it didn't work out for Jorginho and Kovacic. All of a sudden, they're bad players. And now that they're playing under Thomas Tuchel, no, we can't appreciate these players because they didn't work out for Frank Lampard. Is that fair once again?
It's not fair, and you're absolutely spot on because everyone deserves, like I said at the top, everyone deserves a clean slate. Everyone deserves a fresh start. You're absolutely right. There's definitely sections of the fan base that think because Jorginho and Kovacic didn't perform under Frank that they don't deserve the right, or they shouldn't be starting, or they shouldn't be playing for us ever again. And we all know by now, in the 2.5 years that Jorginho has been here, what his limitations are and what he's good at. And we can kind of know that he's good at quick little passes, dictating play. And when he's got support behind him, left and right, in front and behind, he's a perfect player for that. You know, he doesn't need to do anything flashy or anything crazy like that. Sure, you know, tomorrow is going to be interesting. I say tomorrow, but it's today for you guys, you know, against Tottenham, when he plays against better opposition, if he even plays for one. And if he does, you know, he's going up against Ndombele and you know, Højbjerg. So
some really quick players to counter.
And big, strong players as well. No jokes. No, you know, they can body him off the ball. So if, you know, that's the kind of opponent where you want to see if he's going to still perform to that level. But yeah, no, everyone deserves a fair shot, man. I mean, Tuchel likes possession-based football, as we've seen in the 2 games that we've played under him. Absolutely dominated possession. And I think against Wolves, we had the most passes completed ever or something. There was some ridiculous state. So is that insane? So some insane stat like that. And Jorginho is the best at that, right? Just keep the ball moving, don't hold on to it. So, yeah, I mean, there's, you know, like Vivek said off air, you know, the 2 guys that divide the fan base more is Jorginho and Mason Mount. So there's going to be some that want Mount to play in Jorginho's position. There's going to be some that think when Kante comes back, you know, Jorginho shouldn't see the pitch again. But he hasn't done anything wrong. Jorginho's played this season, and I think I saw a stat. It could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I think I saw a stat that Jorginho
lost. Yeah.
Just keep the juju going, man. Why question it? Just keep it going. Like, if he hasn't lost, start him until you lose. Like, I'm not a believer in superstitions, but keep it going, man. Like, let's go. So, you know, it's not his fault entirely if we lose. So it's obviously not his fault if we lose because he hasn't been a part of a losing team. So yeah, everyone gets a fair shot. Everyone deserves that. And Tuchel can assess the team as he goes along in these coming weeks, and we'll see if he continues to play or not.
Vivek, I feel like sometimes certain parts of our fan base, it feels like they just started watching football just under Frank Lampard era. Like there was no football before that, and there cannot be any football after that. It's the Frank Lampard style, and that's all they have in their mind. That lone DM, attacking eights. That's the way we play. Like I can't imagine any other style. And I feel like some are underestimating the kind of caliber of manager Tuchel is. I mean, I didn't follow him too much prior in Dortmund and PSG. I did watch him. I watched that Dortmund team. That was a brilliant Dortmund team. I watched the PSG team. That was a PSG team that went to the finals of the Champions League last season and were very close in beating Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich got there because of their quality at the end. But a lot of people that I've spoken to so far in this channel have said, who have watched Tuchel, that he's a very, very good manager. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of every player. He knows how to play these individuals. Question I want to ask you is, it's alluding to what Kamal was sort of saying that, you know, if Jorginho tomorrow gets found out, which I feel like someone like Tuchel would know that. Do you know what I mean? Like he would know the characteristics of Jorginho. If he does get found out, I don't think he will even start him, because if he knows that Jorginho, with the characteristics of what he has, will get found out against Spurs, I'm not going to start him. But if he thinks that I know the characteristics of Jorginho and I know the characteristics of the Spurs players, I know exactly how to play Jorginho in order for them not to capitalize on his weakness. Do you feel that the fan base is missing that sort of sense about Tuchel, that you're underestimating the kind of manager he is?
Oh, Miss, I think Tuchel is very, very underestimated by portions of the fan base. I say this because, Miss, I've been watching Thomas Tuchel since his Dortmund days. I've followed his Dortmund team quite a bit, and although I don't watch too much of football outside of Chelsea, I followed a few managers here and there, like Nagelsmann for one. I followed Tuchel. I followed some managers who, especially in the Bundesliga. And last season, although I didn't watch too much of the League One because we don't have broadcast over here, I watched a lot of Champions League football which PSG played, and they were phenomenal under Thomas Tuchel. And yesterday I tweeted out saying that if Tuchel is able to solve the midfield puzzle of Højbjerg, Ndombele, and Sissoko, and Ndombele is fit for tomorrow, fit for today's game. So if he figures out this puzzle, we win the game. It's as simple as that, Miss. And the puzzle, I'm not sure whether it will involve Jorginho or not, and that's something we have to see for it. And that's again, Tuchel's decision. If Thomas feels that, okay, Jorginho is going to be a key piece in the puzzle, yeah, absolutely. And if he's not going to feature, and maybe Kante and Kovacic are playing, or maybe Mount is playing, yeah, absolutely, Miss, because it is the manager's decision. And I think, like I said at the start of the show, Tuchel knows better than me about who to pick. Now, coming back to the Jorginho part, Miss, two things I've noticed with how Jorginho has been playing of late. In both the games versus Wolves, his position on the pitch, especially when the ball is in the final third, is always very, very high. He does not sit with the defense, Miss, because Tuchel knows that Jorginho is slow. He cannot react to the counter where they say Neto is, a much more quicker player than him. And if Neto beats Jorginho in that 1v1, he leaves the entire defense exposed. So Jorginho is not sitting back. Instead, what Jorginho is doing is he's staying at the edge of the box where he immediately presses the midfield, immediately presses the forward, and immediately wins the ball over there. That's again using him to his strength.
And he's done that. He's done that, Vivek. A couple of times he's intercepted and he's got the ball back quickly.
Absolutely. And even if he loses the ball over there, the defense is ready because they are maintaining a very high line. The press is also there. And as Azpilicueta was playing sort of that stopper role where he is the best 1v1 defender in our team. And he goes and takes the 1v1 versus Neto. This is brilliant use of Jorginho from Tuchel, Miss. And secondly, in the game versus Burnley, and I will assure you, Miss, Burnley played to win because for the first 15 minutes, Tuchel's team, Chelsea were very passive. I noticed this. Even my dad was saying this. For the first 15 minutes, Chelsea were playing very passive. They were looking at what Burnley were doing, what they were trying to achieve, and Burnley were pressing this. They were pressing. They wanted to win because they were the team on form, and they wanted to come in and get the win. And after 15 minutes, for the next 75 minutes, my goodness, Burnley didn't even get a whiff of the ball, Miss. And both Jorginho and Kovacic were fantastic that day. I was very surprised. And my dad, mind you, Miss, he is not the biggest fan of Jorginho. He said Jorginho had a very good game that day. That says words about,
especially the second half against Burnley, the way we controlled that game. Burnley in that entire match did not have a shot on target. They did not even have a shot, actually. They didn't even have a shot. Especially in the second half, the way Kovacic and Jorginho had most of the ball, allowed for someone like Mason to, really go out there and penetrate through the middle. Callum Hudson-Odoi was running havoc on the right side. This is a team, mind you, just beat Aston Villa and Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? So,
and just to add on to this, Miss, one more thing which I noticed was how Azpilicueta was playing sort of like a defensive midfielder at certain positions where he would move up and stay in the space between Hudson-Odoi and Jorginho. So he always stayed in that space and making sure that if in case Callum lost the ball or if in case Jorginho lost the ball, Azpilicueta was always there to take that 1v1 because like I said at the start, Azpilicueta is the best 1v1 defender we have right now in the back, and he wins that 1v1. This is fantastic from Tuchel. I was taken aback. To be very honest, I was taken aback with how his intricate tactical details where, put on from every game. And I was even more surprised when he brought on Pulisic in the second half for Abraham. That changed
that
the
was
game.
Brilliant. That was brilliant as well. And then his subs in the first game against Wolves, the way he brought in Pulisic into the right wing back position, taking off Chilwell. And at one point we had Callum Hudson-Odoi in left wing back, Pulisic in the right wing back. We had Kai Havertz, we had Ziyech, we had Giroud up front. It was just, wow, what is going on? This guy's gone mental. But he knew what he was doing. He was playing with a 3 at the back, flat, covering for the defense, allowing all the attackers to attack, and the double sixes sitting and just making sure. So it was really just 5 attackers, 5 defenders. Do you know what I mean? But getting back into the whole, the Azpilicueta conversation that you said, is the way he's using Azpilicueta is fantastic. This is another thing where Frank, look, I wouldn't say Azpi was a fringe player, but I do want to say one thing, and I know Reece James is the future and whatnot, but I feel when you have Azpi in the team, and correct me if I'm wrong, boys, I feel like when you have Azpi in the team, it just gives that, you've got your leader, you've got your captain in the team. Do you know what I mean? And I feel this season that presence was a bit missed when a lot of the moment he wasn't playing. Reece James was playing. And I feel like, look, it's going to happen one of these days, obviously, where we need to transition away from Azpilicueta. But I feel like maybe they could have played 50-50 kind of games where Reece in the middle, he had that injury. He was going through the on and off. There were a few games where Reece didn't look good after the injury, man. He did not play good. And I think, Vivek, you've mentioned it as well once again. I think you as well, Kamal, you've mentioned that. That was not a good game. And maybe those are the games that perhaps Azpilicueta could have played. And maybe a different formation could have even accommodated both of them to play. I don't know. So these are the things. Kamal, I want to now talk to you about the last player to wrap up this particular fringe players discussion. Hope everyone's enjoying this. This is a really, really good comment here from Fahad. This is exactly what we want to create here in the Brown Excellence, where we have some really, really good analysis. So Fahad, thank you for that. And everyone that's been commenting, honestly, that's been great. Shri, we've got Rabah, we've got Michael, we've got Utkarsh. Thank you so much, guys, for commenting along. Come on, the last player that I want to talk to you about. Antonio Bad Boy Rudiger. Antonio Bad Boy Rudiger has created a havoc in the fan base. Yeah. Now, Frank Lampard got sacked. And there were certain parts of the fan base, including myself, who were saying, no, don't blame the players here. Don't try and find a scapegoat now. Let's get to the basics and let's look at the picture and let's be honest to ourselves and be humble to ourselves and say Frank did not get the results at the end, hence why he got knocked out by Roman. It's a results-based industry. You need to get the results in order to continue going on. Matt Law's article dropped on the same day, and it was all about the players. It was all about rich players causing a lot of commotion. Rudiger apparently going to the board and, forcing himself to get Frank Lampard out and all of that. And I was sort of, sitting back and watching all of that develop, and I was like,
not me.
Okay. Yeah, well, I saw you were having a go at Rudiger. I saw you. Don't know.
We'll get to it. I'm sorry.
But after a while, probably about an hour or so, as the fan base was going mad at players, and all of a sudden it sort of became, it wasn't about Frank being inexperienced, or it was all about these players that wanted to get Frank out. I thought, well, this isn't fair. We can't just be blaming you. Like, I'm not disputing the fact that some of these players didn't have an impact. They did. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure Rudiger, Alonso, Kepa, Jorginho, to an extent, would have gone and spoken to certain players or to certain members of the hierarchy and said, get this guy out of here because he's ruining the club or whatever the case is. I'm pretty sure they would have done that. But I do not think Roman is sitting there and talking to his advisors and going, so what does Jorginho think? Tell me, what does Rudiger think? Look, these players don't have that much power to make a legendary player like Frank Lampard to be sacked, right? So anyway, all of that happened. Whole heap of commotion happened, and this player started getting a lot of abuse. And not just that, obviously, Rory did a whole heap of things with the Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, and that's a separate story. But Rudiger copped a lot of abuse to a point where some big accounts in our community came out and said that, yep, these are true. He's been bullying and so on and so forth and creating a negative vibe. And he's a big, factor of why Frank got sacked. Obviously, I didn't take that lightly. And then the following day later, Tammy Abraham comes up with a statement. Aspilicueta comes up with a statement. And even that was said that, these are all PR stunts, And I go back to the point, Kamal. Eunice said it very nicely. He goes, if Rudiger was such a big issue, why is Frank Lampard using him on his most, match against Leicester, where that was meant to be either do or die? If you lose that, apparently that was the thing, that if you lose that, Roman had already said that you're going to get the sack. So why are you using a player like Rudiger, supposedly who's creating all sorts of negativity in your locker room, on your last match where you need to win to keep your job, and you are trusting Rudiger, the guy who's trying to get you out of your job? Help me make sense of all of this, because there's still a massive part of the fan base that still cannot seem to get past this situation where they still think Rudiger played a massive part in getting this guy out. And every time he starts now, they cannot accept it.
So let's start with the beginning, right? So I'll hold my hands up and I apologize to Rudiger personally. I was one of the ones that was like, get him out, get Alonso out, get Kepa out, you're a disgrace, etc., etc. Because I support this club on my sleeve, you know what I mean? It's like I can't take slander to Frank Lampard lightly. So when Matt Law said it, and we know who the other people said, we don't have to mention them by name.
We don't have names.
Exactly. So when they said it, I was like, oh, snap. Okay, no, Rudiger, you're not fit enough to wear the Chelsea badge anymore, etc. and so on. So when it came out that it was false, and I'm not necessarily saying it was fabricated, but, it was falsely reported or whatever the word may be, I held my hands up and said, okay, I'm sorry, deleted the tweets. And I'll go from there. But yeah, you can't just put this all on Rudiger, right? Because he has, besides Leicester, the games he has featured this season, and I even said this myself, he hasn't actually had bad games.
All right, yeah.
Right. He hasn't had any poor performances besides that one game against Leicester. So let's
be honest, the entire team was poor.
Exactly. Yeah, that game was just pathetic, right? So, and I keep harping on about it. It's going to sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's a fresh start. We need to just forget everything negative that happened under Lampard and just throw it aside and be like, it's done. Tuchel's here. Let him assess. Let him understand the players' good things and bad things. Let him figure that out himself. And let's go from here. So if Rudiger's part of his plans, until he fails and until he does something stupid, let him play. And he hasn't done anything as of yet. So he's going to be part of the team. And of course, we all want Zuma in. We've liked what Zuma's given us so far, but he is susceptible to the odd mistake here and there, and he's not perfect. So sure. I mean, I understand, I was also kind of cynical in that sense as well, where I thought maybe it is a PR stunt, maybe something happened. Rudiger's come out on the Athletic, and so maybe he's trying to cover his tracks. Who knows, right? But at the same time, I'm like, okay, you know what? I have to get over it. Start fresh, new manager, new era. Support the team, support the players, and hopefully we can make some waves and continue being the Chelsea that we know and love. So it's time to move on. And I think that part of the fan base does have to put that to the side and just, as much as it may hurt, just suck it up and be the bigger person.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a good point that you brought up, the Athletic article, which I read yesterday, the Rudiger's interview with Simon Johnson. And honestly, how much more are we going to say? Because look, I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll be honest with the good 21 people that are on right now. There's been certain people that have reached out to me who've got that internal connection. And they've said that, you know, they've got information from certain players inside, because some of these big accounts, they keep in touch with the players. And they said that, yeah, Rudiger might have created some havoc. And how much of it is in the way of how the reporters are saying it, that's a different story. But from my perspective, the way I look at it is, sure, he might have done that. But we are not unique to that kind of situation. Every club has a set of players that don't get enough minutes and will create that kind of tension.
True.
And sometimes that kind of tension is not always bad. It may keep all the other players honest and making sure that you better be playing good. Because, to be honest, Kamal and Vivek as well, that portion of December, January, the players weren't playing good. So someone like Rudiger probably has that opportunity to say, hey, Gaffer, give me a chance. Do you know what I mean? Throw me into it and see what I can do. And let's not also forget the fact that Frank was the one who used Rudiger last season when he took off Tomori, when Tomori was playing good. When Tomori was playing good with Zuma, he broke that partnership as soon as Rudiger was fit. No one told Frank to do that. And what happened to Tomori since then? He's gone. He's out of this club. He never got back to that levels again. Do you know what I mean? So, Vivek, what I want to ask you now is that, now that Rudiger is getting that opportunity under Thomas Tuchel, and the couple of games that we've already played, the three at the back, Rudiger looks quite okay. He's maintaining, all the right sort of tactical information that Tuchel's providing, and he's carrying that out. Is it time now, from your perspective, to let the fan base know, as well, Kamal said, just move on. Forget what has happened under Frank Lampard's time. Forget all the bad rumors. If this guy can now, if he starts, and if we can manage to get top 4 with him starting, so be it. So be it, right? What's important, top 4, or let's teach Rudiger a lesson because this is Chelsea Football Club? What is important, Vivek?
Absolutely, miss. Top 4 is important, and if Rudiger is going to play an important part in that role, so be it. Because end of the day, I think the club's good wishes should always be put first ahead of individuals, and I firmly believe in that. I firmly believe that Chelsea is a club, and there are a lot of individuals, there are a lot of players who work for it. Tuchel is an individual, Rudiger is an individual, but only when they all come together does Chelsea become a team. And only when 23, 24 odd players who are there, only when all of these guys come together, only then they become a team which is capable enough of achieving top 4. And Tuchel has said, Thomas Tuchel has said that top 4 is not going to be enough for him, and he wants to compete for titles next season. And we already know that. He's definitely going for the title next season. And what I feel right now is that I ask everyone to just get behind the players, because that's what I personally do. And like Kamal, I also apologize for my tweets on Rudiger, because I tweeted it the previous night. I slept off, and when I woke up in the morning, I saw Tammy's tweet, say Aspilicueta's tweet, and immediately I deleted it and I apologized. A couple of people told me, you shouldn't have apologized, and I told them very simply that, look, I don't have enough knowledge about what's going on in the dressing room. I only know half of the story. I don't know the side of the players, and I firmly believe, this is something my father's taught me, growing up. He says that when you know something, talk about it. When you don't know something, it's better not to talk about it. But only when you know only half of something, it's even more dangerous than knowing completely or knowing nothing. That middle ground that's very horrible. Like knowing just half of something. So I only know half of what's going on there. I'm not Rudiger's friend, nor I'm Matlaw's friend, nor I'm
very true. Because we never got to hear Rudiger's side, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know what's going on behind the dressing room. Things could have happened, things couldn't have happened, and it's not for me to speculate. And that was one of the reasons why I apologized, for my tweets on Rudiger. And I'm so happy that he's starting right now, because I really like Rudiger as a character. Like Hudson-Odoi has talked several times about how he's his big bro. He's talked about
Uncle.
this. Yeah,
Uncle. I think he calls him uncle.
yeah, and he
Rudiger
calls
or
him his big.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how these are not. I don't think this is a PR stunt, miss. I wouldn't go on camera, on live, and say or talk to a journalist how a person is my big bro just for PR. It's
Oh, you wouldn't do
absolutely.
that for me? Come on, bro. I'm pretty sure you did that.
Absolutely. But I'd mean it for you. So it's quite absurd that people think that some of this is a PR stunt. It may be, miss. We never know. But it's not good to speculate on things where we only know half of it. Absolutely. And I think, like you said, miss, past is the past, and we have other important things to look forward to moving on right now, which is the Spurs game coming up. We have Atletico coming up, and the least I'm worried about is club controversies. I've silenced it. I've muted it out of my timeline, and I do not want to see any sort of nonsense regarding player debates or who needs to start, who should start, who shouldn't start. I've muted all that out. I'm only focused on watching the game and watching the team get top four and go for the title next season. This is all I care about right now. I'm least bothered about any sort of controversy or controversial opinions on Twitter as of now.
No, I think this is one particular manager, boys. He's got a wealth of experience, starting from way before even in Dortmund, like wherever he managed. I think he managed Mainz before that or something like that.
Yeah.
This guy is not. He didn't just start yesterday. Pep Guardiola came out and said he talks to Tuchel quite often, and all Tuchel ever does is 24 hours football talk. That's all he does. He became a manager from the late 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like when he was in his 20s, late 20s. So he's been a manager for a very, very long time, and he's seen all the tough times in being a manager for Dortmund and coming up against someone like Bayern regularly and Bayern beating you all the time. That is not easy to manage all the time. Do you know what I mean? And he managed the likes of Aubameyang over there. He managed the likes of Pulisic over there. He made someone in the likes of Mkhitaryan one of the best footballers in Europe when he was playing for Dortmund. Because of the way he plays, because of that style, he got the best out of Mkhitaryan. What happened to Mkhitaryan after that? Went to Man United, gone. Went to Roma, gone. Nothing. I don't even know where he is anymore. He's then gone to PSG and he's managed the likes of Neymar, Mbappe. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy, he was this close to winning the Champions League. So we do not need to have any more conversation before the lineup comes out. Oh my God, why is he using this? Oh my God, Mason Mount's not in the starting lineup again. Oh my God, so on and so forth. Look at the way he's already deployed Callum Hudson-Odoi as the right wing back. If someone was to say to us three a few weeks ago that Callum Hudson-Odoi was going to be a right wing back, we'd be like, oh, what? Right wing back? That's a match. Get yourself. Do you know what I mean? So we don't need to question much. As Vivek said, he's going to put out the team. He knows what he's doing. All we can do is just comment on player performances. Hopefully the players put on a very good performance. Someone like Tuchel, he is, as you've said, Kamal, that if things don't go right or tactically he wants to make a twitch, he does it. Half time, he took Otami and put on Pulisic because he saw there was an opportunity perhaps that 1-0 up, take someone Tammy out because Burnley is probably not going to be just sitting deep anymore. They're probably going to come out and try and get that equalizer. And maybe there might be some space at the back. And maybe Tammy's not the best person to do that. Maybe Pulisic and Werner as a combination is better to do that. So I like that. That tells me that this manager is not just flowing with the wind. He is thinking. He is constantly thinking more than us. So, ladies and gentlemen,
he doesn't even have like a set formation, right? It came out so many times that he doesn't have a formation. He goes based on what the opposition does, which is something unheard of in today's game, right? He changes based on the opposition as opposed to this is my system. We play it no matter what. Yeah. Like, no, this is fantastic. This is what I want. You analyze and you go based on that.
100%. I mean, this is the factor I suppose we missed because I felt like Frank was like that last season. He was more pragmatic in the sense that, oh, you're doing that? I'm going to counter you with this.
Right.
Whereas this season, he's like, this is me. I don't care what you're doing. This is me. I'm
Right.
like, well, that ain't going to work all the time. You need to tweak within the game sometimes. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. We've had, honestly, I've had a blast. I'm sure the boys have had a blast. Hope each and every one of you guys had an enjoying show in regards to these fringe players. Some final words from you, Vivek, before we wrap things up. Any message for the Spurs game?
For the Spurs game, I don't see too many changes, Miss. I think we'll go with a similar setup, and I have a feeling Tuchel may go to a 4-2-3-1. There is a good chance he may go for it. My reasoning being that he would probably start N'Golo Kante over Jorginho, maybe. It may happen, but it will be an interesting tactical battle, Miss. And I'm not going to discount Jose Mourinho's Tottenham just because of their form right now. They are a very dangerous team. They are playing at home. Their home form has been good. With or without Harry Kane, they are a team which are still competing for one of those top 4 spots. And until right now, we don't know who or which team is going to win the title or which 4 teams are going to finish top 4. So it's a good time to take our chances, Miss. And if we win tonight, we go 4 points closer to top 4, which is good. And we have a lot of tough games coming up too. And this, I think, is a good game to show how Tuchel's tactical news can play a big part in this. People, I don't know, win, lose or draw, a lot of people are going to be surprised with the changes he makes to the team and the tactical changes. And I'll be very honest, Miss. When Chelsea Twitter is, having a meltdown over the lineup, or when most of them think the lineup sucks, we win.
That's true. 100%.
You're spot on, Vivek. I think we shouldn't take this match lightly. Confidence is good, but I feel like this is classic Jose. He wants the world against him. He wants everyone to think that we are no chance, and that's when he pounces and shows off. This is a scoreline that I think could be possible. This is what I've been saying as well. Michael, once again, thank you for commenting on that. 1-0, 2-1 Chelsea is probably what I'm going for as well. Kamal, some final messages from yourself.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 to Chelsea. 3-point lane. We win at White Hart Lane, man. Historically, this is Tottenham. The team I hate the most. Excuse me.
Alonso man of the match.
Yes, I think he's gonna score, bro. He always scores against Tottenham. I think he's gonna score. I think Werner actually gets his. I don't know why. I think Werner gets a goal as well. He likes scoring against Tottenham as well. So
he does.
Yeah, so I think we're going 2-0. I think we're going to win it. I'm extremely confident. I don't know why, but against Tottenham, I'm always extremely confident because I cannot. They're the team I hate the most out of any other team on the planet. So we have to win tomorrow. If we don't, don't talk to me for a while. But yeah, we've got this. I think we've got this one.
Absolutely. I see, Laim. Thank you for this comment. I hope everyone's as confident as you. Jose is over, finished. He has no love for football. He's the Lampard more into football politics, not even worth. Thank you so much, for that top comment, man. We've got here comment from Akash, 0-0 for me, and he's got the hands up. I'm not really sure why he got the hands up, bro. It's a draw. We're not Arsenal. We're not celebrating 0-0, bro. We're not doing that. But Akash, now, thank you for that comment. Guys, once again, thank you heaps for joining. Please smash that like button while you're here. If you're here first time today in the stream, please look back. This was a fantastic stream. If you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next week, we'll be back again, Brown Excellence. And hope everyone has a very enjoyable match to watch against Spurs. Until next time, see ya.